Welcome back. Let's do happy hour. So, today I really want to talk about cycle syncing. It is one of the things that is oftentimes recommended for most women when it comes to our hormones and working out. And I originally thought cycle syncing was BS. And so I was very resistant to it. However, I reinvented it for myself and I want to tell you how today. Check out my video about my story with PCOS and endometriosis. There's a part 1 and 2 right now. Eventually, there will be a part 3. But when I was going through the PCOS and endometriosis diagnosis and like, how am I going to like restructure my workouts and what am I going to do? I was really into CrossFit and I loved the high intensity workouts. I loved a good lift followed by a really sweaty Metcon. I loved getting my heart rate up. And I believe that is what led me to being diagnosed with PCOS and as well as many other things like stress, my perfectionism, etc. But I really think the workouts did not help my case. They really depleted my hormones and led me to having PCOS. And so when I started meeting with the trainer who made my program at that time to help me with my PCOS symptoms, she was like, I want you to cycle sync. And I was like, that's cute. I don't believe in cycle syncing. And here's why. I don't believe in it because, and I still don't believe in it in this way. I don't believe in it because my goals and my personal goals right now are to be strong and fast. So I love running. I love a sweaty workout. I love lifting heavy. And with the classic cycle syncing, it would have meant that I could only do running, lifting, Metcons, CrossFit stuff for 2 weeks of the 4 weeks of the month. And for me, I was like, how am I supposed to get better at the things that I love, that I want to work on, if I can't do it all month long? So you're supposed to, in classic cycle syncing, you can do the high intensity workouts in your follicular phase and ovulatory phases. As your hormones are higher, you're feeling better, you're able to recover more. And then as you're going into luteal phase and menstruation, you're supposed to like really scale it back, do like the lower intensity, blah, blah, blah. And so oftentimes it is recommended that you're doing the HIIT exercises, the running, the heavy lifting, etc., in the early part of your period or of your cycle. And then on the second part of your cycle, you're not doing any of that. You're doing walking, yoga, maybe Pilates, but you're really just like focused on more of restorative. And yes and no. For me, I was like, that just doesn't make sense. Like I said, I have goals that if I was to only work on them for half of the month, didn't make sense to me. Also, being a trainer myself, I wouldn't want my clients with goals to only work on those goals for also half of the month. And so I started talking with her and I was like, you know what? I'm actually going to like kind of rebrand cycle syncing for myself where I am not doing the lifting. I actually did cut out all CrossFit and then officially cut it all out a couple of years ago because I have a like recurring shoulder situation to rebrand everything with my cycle syncing and workouts. And so I was still lifting heavy. I wasn't doing any cardio because they didn't want my heart rate up as I was getting my inflammation levels down. And so what I started doing instead was adjusting my weightlifting to my cycle. So I was able to lift heavier as I had more hormones in my body between follicular phase and ovulatory phase. However, as that started to dip in the luteal phase and during menstruation, I realized I was not feeling as strong. I was not recovering as well. And so I gave myself these rules of I will adjust my volume. And so that was in the form of either not lifting as heavy as I was earlier in my cycle, in the later part of my cycle. I would cut back on my sets or reps. I would cut back. I would give myself kind of like a, you can only work out for X amount of time. So I was taking more volume off of myself. And what I ended up finding, which I was not expecting going into this, I ended up finding that I was actually recovering better even during my period when I was like feeling exhausted and tired. And I just felt better. Like going into my follicular phase before I started this this new way of cycle syncing for myself, I would just feel drained. I would feel exhausted. I would feel like I just hadn't recovered. It took a couple days for me to feel like myself and like I was getting a good workout in. So I constantly felt like I was getting a poor workout in when I wasn't doing my version of cycle syncing. And so with this, decreasing volume and then really just listening to my energy levels, how I'm feeling, making sure I'm prioritizing at least 2 days off every single week from working out, which is still a thing no matter what phase I'm in my cycle. I just realized I was like recovering. I felt better. I had more energy. I actually started seeing more definition, like muscle definition. And I was like, okay. And it had taken me years to get a PR with my deadlifts and my squats, and I got PRs pretty easily, like without much effort. And so I was like, okay, cycle syncing your workouts doesn't need to be you can only do this in this phase and only this in this phase. It just is about the person and how to adjust the volume of it. And so today, now that I run a little bit more as well, I adjust the volume of my running. I'm not doing super long runs in the late luteal phase. I maybe am focusing on a slower pace, less miles, making sure I'm recovering more. And that has really helped my overall fitness. And in turn, I have gotten stronger. I feel better with my physique. I'm not as bloated. I'm not as like inflamed feeling, and I'm recovering much better. So, if you are kind of like I am, where you're like, oh, that classic cycle syncing is not for me, I feel you. I see you. I was there too. I want to challenge you to do my type of cycle syncing and just focus on the volume. Do what you love to do, but adjust the volume throughout the month based on your energy levels because of your menstrual cycle and your hormones. And if you decide to do that, please report back. And eventually, I am going to do a video of other things that I bring into cycle syncing now as well, including how I socialize, kind of a cycle syncing, how I socialize, how I eat, that kind of stuff, how I approach business with my cycle, because all of that stuff started factoring in too, which was really, really freaking cool. And a lot of people just aren't talking about it. So I want to give you guys some tips and tricks too of how to do these things, not just working out, that will help your hormones in the long run. So that is all I have for you today. Cheers, and I will see you next time. Bye.